I think at this point I've made it pretty crystal clear that I think Warner Brothers are basically inept and simply do not understand the superhero or comic book genre. But it's long overdue that I make a positive video about DC Comics, since I actually do love them. They're my favorite brand, they're my favorite pantheon of superheroes. I love DC comic books. So I figure I can let the fanboy in me out at least for one video. Warner Brothers really should have gotten their act together and built up the cinematic universe to something as epic as Crisis on Infinite Earths for theaters. Had Warner Brothers done so, it could have made Avengers Endgame look small in comparison. But alas, Warner Brothers sucks. But at least we can be thankful that the television division has their act together. The past crossovers in CW's Arrowverse have all been a lot of fun to watch. I personally like the Invasion crossover the best, but as someone that enjoyed the comic book version, it was honestly a weak adaptation. It had very little to do with the comic book storyline itself, but it did work for what it was. Now, doing a Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event for television is a very ambitious goal. I think because of that, anyone that has actually read the comic book needs to consider how complex that story is and needs to be flexible with what they expect from the end result. There is no possible way they could do a faithful adaptation on a television budget, and since they changed Invasion so much, I expect they'll do the same here. But even though it may stray from the source, it has the potential to be the greatest DC television event of all time. Every bit of news coming out about it seems to validate this opinion. Each new announcement gets me personally more and more excited to see it. Since San Diego Comic-Con, news has slowly trickled out here and there as to who would be joining the cast, and it seems as if at least one person from all past DC shows are somehow involved. Linda Carter, who portrayed Wonder Woman in the 70s TV series, and Burt Ward from the 60s Batman series are both returning. John Wesley Shipp will be portraying both Jay Garrick and an alternate universe Barry Allen. He's been somewhat of a regular on the new Flash series, but he was also Barry Allen in the 90s Flash series as well. I love him in both roles and can't wait to see how he's worked into the story, especially considering how particularly important the Flash is to the Crisis storyline. Ashley Scott from the early 2000s Birds of Prey series also recently came aboard. I have to admit I didn't see that one coming, but I'm glad to see it happen. I'd like to see them get Dina Meyer back too, so she could play Batgirl or even Oracle again. The news that got me really excited was that Tom Welling and Erica Durance would return to their Smallville roles for the crossover. They recently shared a set photo of the two together, and it brought a big smile to my face. I'm sure it did for other Smallville fans as well. And just when I thought the news couldn't get any better, they released the images of Brandon Routh as the Kingdom Come version of Superman. Routh apparently has taken the role very seriously because he's definitely put on some muscle. He looks fantastic in the new costume. The only way they could make this event any better so far is if they could fit someone in from the Titan series, and if they pulled someone from the DCEU. Henry Cavill would be ideal, especially since it could be the last time we see him as Superman, but I would even take Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White or J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. And of course, if Justin Hartley's Green Arrow met Stephen Amell's, people would cheer endlessly at that epic moment. But of course, not all news has been good news about the Crisis crossover. Michael Rosenbaum made it clear he rejected the chance to return as Lex Luthor for the event, but to be fair, he did share why he made that choice, and it's easy to understand his position. He couldn't go in blindly, and that is exactly what they were asking him to do. While we're on the topic of DC television, the second season of Titans, which is going on to its fourth week, has been phenomenal. This season blows away the first season easily, and it's exactly what I've been looking for in a DC live-action series. Esai Morales is bringing his A game to the role of Deathstroke, and Brenton Thwaites continues to own the screen as Dick Grayson. I'm getting more and more excited and impatient to see him become Nightwing, but recent behind-the-scenes photos reveals that that wait is almost over. The rest of the cast are great as well, and Titans is what the DCEU should have been from the beginning. WB should have just let Zack Snyder finish his 5-film storyline, then reboot with a Flashpoint movie under Jeff Johns' guidance, and then have the new timeline exist in the same multiverse as the Titans. Pretty simple, and it would have made a smooth transition instead of the chaotic mess that Warner Brothers has created. A Flashpoint cinematic film should have been the way they combined all versions of DC television and film into a single multiverse. Ezra Miller's Flash could have even run past Grant Gustin's Flash when he goes back in time to change the timeline. It would have been perfect. Fortunately, even though WB dropped the ball again, the Crisis on Infinite Earths event promises to give us something close to that. Maybe the television division can put the movie division to shame just enough that eventually they'll get their act together too. But until then, Warner Brothers will probably continue to fail us miserably and constantly disappoint fans everywhere, but the CW and the DC Universe streaming service are giving fans what they always wanted to see with these amazing characters. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for future content.